How's it, everyone? Welcome to another string review right here on OpenCourt. I'm Kent, and today I'm reviewing a synthetic gut string for you guys. I haven't played with synthetic gut in a very long time, but this gut is made by Tourna, and Tourna has impressed me a lot with their strings so far. I've tried their Big Hitter Silver and Big Hitter Silver 7 Tour. I like those strings a lot, so Tourna has the benefit of the doubt. But today I'm testing a string called the Tourna Synthetic Gut Armor White. Let's check it out. So the Tourna Synthetic Gut Armor White. Why did I choose to review this string? For one reason and one reason only. This is the cheapest string that I could find on Tennis Express. I order a lot of stuff on Tennis Express because they have things that I can't get locally here in Hawaii, and I was just browsing their site and I saw that this was their cheapest string out of everything that they had, and one set of this costs $3.29. That is dirt cheap, and I was very curious to try it. Tennis, a lot of people think that you need to spend more to play better, hence natural gut. That isn't necessarily the case. There are a lot of good budget strings under $10, whether that be poly or synthetic gut. Synthetic gut is made to kind of mimic natural gut, which is impossible in my opinion. There is no way a synthetic gut can play as well as natural because it's just not the same material. However, this synthetic gut is really cheap, and what's interesting about this is that it actually has a solid core in the middle with some nylon multi-filament wraps surrounding it, but it also has some polyester fibers on the outer coating to give it a little bit more durability, and that's pretty unique, hence the name Armor. The cross section looks something like this, with the core, the nylon wraps, and finally the polyester filaments on the outside. So according to the back of the package here, it's supposed to give a little bit more durability and a crisper, more poly-like response than traditional nylon multi-filament because of those polyester wraps. That's another reason I got this. I'm very curious. I kind of like these hybrid strings, like Technifiber has some of those like Duramix HD nylon polyester blend strings, and I'm always curious to try those because I'm not a fan of pure nylon. So this string I was very curious about, and I strung it in my Prince Phantom 100X 1820. I strung it in this racket because I tested the most recent Phantom 100Xs that came out courtesy of Albert Murata over at the AM Stringing channel, and I love them, and I forgot how much I loved the Phantom, so I decided to play with it again, and I got it strung at 55 pounds. I strung it a little bit tighter because I wanted to corral that power, but also I wanted to get that more crisp direct response by stringing tighter because this is a softer racket. So without further ado, let's jump on the court and let's test out this $3.29 synthetic gut. But before that, if you guys are liking this content and want to see more, be sure to overhead smash that like and subscribe button to keep the reviews coming. So starting with the pros of the Tourna Synthetic Gut Armor string. The biggest pro is that it's super cheap, basically $3 a set. This string is definitely worth the price. In fact, I would gladly pay double the price for this level of performance. It doesn't perform like natural gut by any means, but it plays very responsively for a syn gut. I'm not the biggest fan of syn guts for a number of reasons. For one thing, some of them have a really mushy and dampened feel, but the Tourna Armor's solid core and polyester outer filaments make it feel more responsive than most syn guts and nylon multi-filaments. Even in my soft Phantom racket, I could still feel every strike as I swung through each shot. It also had decent pocketing and dwell time, and I could hit drop shots, angle volleys, slices, and precision shots without much issue. I haven't had this much playability from a syn gut since maybe the Gosen OG Sheet Micro Super. I plan to review that on my channel one day because it's one of my favorite syn guts, but the Tourna Armor gets pretty close. It was really satisfying to exchange ground strokes from the baseline because I got the satisfying pop sound when I struck the ball clean in the sweet spot. It also felt firm to the point where I could feel the ball on the strings and redirect it left and right with ease. As good as hitting ground strokes felt, however, I was definitely more comfortable at the net with Tourna Armor syn gut. This is true for just about every syn gut I play with. I don't get quite enough spin and control from the baseline with syn guts to be able to confidently swing big and try to hit passing shots on my opponent. Because of the polyester fibers and the firmer construction of the Tourna Armor, I had better control than I anticipated, but I still was more comfortable at net because of the dwell time and response this string gave me on all my volley variations. When I wanted to be aggressive and punch through my volley, the string gave me good pocketing and launched the ball off with some force. This also helped on my low volleys, as all I had to do was block the ball in front and the string did the rest. I felt comfortable poaching with the Tourna Armor because even if I caught the ball slightly off center, I could still hit some decent power. The ball rarely ever came back. If I used a stiffer poly, my opponent could usually dig my poach back if I didn't catch it cleanly. I had good enough feel to hit drop volleys and angles as well. Some 𝐤𝐴𝐺𝐬𝐻 I've tried in the past are a bit too mushy and doesn't give me the direct impact response to hit touch shots, but the Tourna Armor didn't give me issues when I was hitting volleys. Regular drop shots off the bounce were a bit more challenging because I had to actually scoop the ball and the feel wasn't quite good for those. Another thing I appreciated about the Tourna Armor was the lack of string movement. This string snaps back decently for a 𝐤𝐴𝐺𝐬𝐻. One thing I really hate is when strings shift all in one direction and get stuck when I take a big rip. The Tourna Armor didn't move a whole lot, so I didn't have to fix my strings after every point. The side benefit of this is better control. One thing that bothers a lot of heavy hitters is when 𝐤𝐴𝐺𝐬𝐻 or multifilaments get stuck out of place in the middle of a point. If the strings shift all over onto one side, it means the strings won't slide anymore if hit in that direction. This leads to a huge drop off in control because of the lack of spin. The Tourna Armor could be good for those who want to use 𝐤𝐴𝐺𝐻 for its power and forgiveness but also want a decent amount of control. The Tourna Armor is also a very comfortable and forgiving string. I strung it in my Phantom, which is already a soft racket, but I think even in a stiffer racket, the Tourna will still provide good comfort for those who are suffering from arm pain. Because of the solid core and the polyester fibers, this string is not as soft as full multi-filament like a Technifiber biphase, but it's soft enough for me. I don't really care about comfort since I like stiff polys, but I know this is a priority for many people, so check out the Tourna Armor if you want some control paired with comfort. This string is also more powerful than what I typically use. 𝐤𝐴𝐺𝐻 is typically not as powerful as natural gut or multi-filament, but coming from full poly, the Tourna Armor felt like a rocket launcher. Even in my low-powered Phantom with its tight pattern, I felt a tremendous amount of power from the trampoline effect. This helped a lot on my backhand ground strokes. When I was able to close my stance and wind up for a full backhand rotation, the added power really slingshotted my ball over and I saw very little deceleration. I mentioned the power on my volleys earlier, but I also found good power on overheads. I didn't feel as much power on serves as I had hoped, and I have a theory for this. It's most likely because my approach angle on my slice and kick serve is angled off to the side. The strings aren't really snapping back because they're 𝐤𝐴𝐺𝐻, and it doesn't provide the slingshot effect as much as if I were to approach directly like my flat serve. But all in all, this was a great synthetic gut string. Despite its super cheap price tag, I was thoroughly impressed, and it's getting me thinking of trying more cheap 𝐤𝐴𝐺𝐻s to compare. Now let's get into the cons of the Tourna synthetic gut armor. This string is not perfect, but all of its flaws must be taken into context with its $3 price tag, so honestly, none of these are really a big deal when you think about it like that. First off, the spin potential is not great. I have yet to find a non-poly string that provides similar spin potential to poly. I know that is like asking for a miracle string that does everything, but since I rely so much on spin for my service game, I really need a string that snaps back and provides good bite on my kick serve. This string didn't really help in that department. My kick serves became sitters that my opponent could attack, and my slice serve also didn't have much mid-air movement, and I rarely was able to force return errors unless my flat serve went in. Although the overall control level was decent for non-poly, I struggled hitting approach shots because the ball didn't have the diving action I get from the usual polys. I didn't feel confident taking a big swing because I felt my shot would fly to the back fence. Consequently, I dumped a lot of approach shots into the net because I tried to overcompensate. Also, I often struggled with corralling my return of serve. I like to step in and attack returns off the rise. However, even when I caught the return clean, sometimes the ball would land inches past the baseline. Unfortunately, this is a con I will almost always have with 𝐤𝐴𝐺𝐻s because I'm a poly player and I want the spin and control poly brings. But compared to some other 𝐤𝐴𝐺𝐻s I've used in the past, the Tourna Armor is still one of the better ones, so I wasn't too disappointed. Lastly, synthetic gut tends to lose tension faster than nylon multifilaments. Although I didn't notice a whole lot of change in the playability, I did notice the coating was beginning to wear out after one day and the strings started to move more and more. The Tourna Armor is great when freshly strung, and I think this could be a good cross string in a poly 𝐤𝐴𝐷 hybrid. Unfortunately, I can't comment on durability because I didn't play with this string until it broke, but I cut out strings after a month anyway. So lastly, who is the Tourna Synthetic Gut Armor string for? It's for players who want something super cheap that plays slightly stiffer than a typical synthetic gut and therefore provides slightly more control. If you're coming from full poly, the Tourna Armor won't give you the same levels of spin and control, but if you want to transition away from poly because it's giving you arm pain, but you still want a medium firm response, the Tourna Armor could be worth a try. It's only $3, so it's not like you'd be out a whole lot of money. So that's my take on this super cheap string. I was honestly pretty impressed by it. So far, I've tried 3 Tourna strings and I've liked all of them. Before I started this channel, I had never tried a Tourna string, so I'm looking forward to trying more. So let me know in the comments if you've tried the Tourna Armor and if you have any recommendations for the next Tourna string for me to try. Thank you for watching this review of the Tourna Synthetic Gut Armor right here on OpenCourt. If you guys like this content, be sure to overhead smash that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in an open court.